Hey everyone, it's Latoya Ramos, and this is Susty Soul, a podcast where ethical fashion designers, farmers, entrepreneurs, and environmentalists of color get their sunshine. Thank you so much for deciding to listen in. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. Your support and feedback is definitely appreciated, and I cannot wait to share updates on future conversations and discovering new change makers of color with you. So stay tuned. So since this is the very first episode of Susty Soul, I just wanted to talk a little bit about why I decided to start the podcast, what you can expect from the show, and a little bit of information about myself so you can just have some background. So my intention for this show is to provide insight into the topic of sustainability as it relates to people of color, and vice versa. I want to talk about people of color and our relationship to sustainability, and most importantly, why we should even care, even though we understandably have way more than enough to be concerned about and quite frankly stressed about, like racism and politics and etc. And I also want to highlight advocates, organizations, and consumer brands owned by people of color that have an environmental or social impact focus, because there's so many dedicated and dope individuals and brands encouraging sustainable consumerism and the lifestyle overall. And I want to make sure that you know about them. So based on the imagery and what's kind of already out there in the media today as it relates to the sustainable space and the social impact space, a lot of organizations only seem to have been associated, and this whole sector and the lifestyle in general, like sustainable living and things like that, it's only seems to have been associated with the white middle class and white hipster culture, and that's not true. Leadership, especially within the slow food and soul fashion movement, is incredibly diverse, and I want to help showcase that. And in addition to that, you also have people in energy efficiency, water stewardship, and other areas doing amazing things who happen to be Black and brown. And so around this particular subject matter, it's something that seemingly also only involves tree huggers or Birkenstocks or someone rolling around in sunflowers or something like that, or branding that which normally represents mostly Caucasians, and that on a brand that extracts some sort of theme that is extracted from an indigenous culture, but without having actual individuals from that culture represented in their marketing. And I want to shed light on issues like that because it is a big problem. So you also have appropriation within the sustainability space as well. And I just want people of color, especially Black people, because that's what I identify with as an African American, to have a better understanding of the topic and why it matters to us and how to integrate sustainability back into our lives, because a lot of it is already in our roots, and that's another discussion for another episode. So, and that was basically the core reason why I decided to literally go back to graduate school for all of this, because of that reason. So to tell you a little bit about myself, I was born and raised in Brooklyn. I'm a proud native New Yorker. Apparently we're rare. I don't know why. So that's kind of funny. I think it's really, really funny that when I get told that, oh my God, you're the first actual New Yorker I've met. I'm like, really? But yeah, I'm also the founder of Ministry New York, which is a worship dancewear brand, and Scene Green, which is my blog. So in terms of schooling and my professional background, I went to NYU for undergrad, and I studied organizational behavior and change, which led to my career in HR, which is what is now called people operations. So yeah, I have a background in HR and talent acquisition. I really love HR. And organizational behavior is basically HR on steroids. That's what I always call it, because it takes a closer look into the workplace dynamics and the employee experience overall. So while I was working, I also worked on Ministry New York as a side hustle, and I began to learn more and more about the detrimental impacts of the apparel industry, which then increased my awareness about supply chain, transparency, climate change, and just sustainability overall. So in order to really understand that, I just really became intrigued and really interested in it. And, so many things were starting to happen, and more companies were starting to, oh, we're going green, and greenwashing, which is another problem as well. But it was just like this whole thing, and I was just really, really interested in it. And I also realized that sustainability does impact people of color. So I was like, okay, you know what? I made the decision to go back to grad school part-time at first, at least, because I was working full-time. But I wanted to really understand everything on a scientific level and on a professional level. So I studied at Columbia, and I got my master's in sustainability management because I wanted to have an understanding of the entire umbrella of sustainability. So things like supply chain and life cycle analysis, things like branding and communicating sustainability, impact finance, CSR reporting, sustainable fashion, of course, which is where I focus a lot of my research, and also like GIS mapping, which is something that I actually really enjoy doing. So yeah, that's why I went back to grad school for all of this, hence my blog, and why I'm really interested, and I really want to showcase people of color who are really doing it in this space, So, and outside of that, I really love fragrances. I'm really, really into fragrances. It's a big hobby of mine. So you guys might hear me mention things like that, and I would love to hopefully talk about sustainable fragrances on the show sometime in the future. But yeah, that's a little bit about me in a nutshell. And this particular episode, the show itself has been a long time coming. I thank you guys so much who are familiar with me already. I know I've been talking about starting the podcast for a very long time now, but I am here. This was supposed to start last year, but circumstances and things just really got in the way, and I thought I could do it all, and I learned the hard way that I could not. But I'm here, and I'm so happy and excited to finally tell you guys about all the amazing people who are in this space and doing good things, who happen to be Black and brown. And I would love to really, really hear from you guys. Let me know what you think. I'd really appreciate your feedback on the show, and let me know what you'd like to hear discussed on the show. Let me know if you're aware of people who are doing great things, like the people who are working in sustainability or in advocacy, farmers and things like that, who you feel should be recognized. I'd love to have them on the show. And yeah, I'm so happy to finally built up, honestly, the courage to do this finally. It has been a long time coming, and I cannot wait to enjoy the rest of this journey with you guys. So if you haven't already, please subscribe, and you can follow me at Seeing Green NYC on Instagram. I'm not really on Twitter or Facebook. I really try to keep it to one, platform, but normally I am on Instagram. So yes, Seeing Green NYC. You can follow me there, and Susty Soul at Susty Soul on Instagram as well. And yeah, take care, everyone, and I will see you next time on the next episode. Bye.